Hey guys, alright. Decided to do a video before going on doing anything else. Uh, this one is on Homegrown Pumpkin Pie from scratch. Give me a second, guys, sorry.
They're two people loving each other and giving themselves to each other because they want to. Not be.
Okay. There's the picture, and I will use that for the video front. So, here we go. This is by Carolyn Thomas. Pumpkin pie is my favorite pie, hands down. It's one of mine. I love blueberry pie too. Fruit pies are delicious, but for me, there are just no competition for the creamy, sweet, and juicy joy of pumpkin pie. In the autumn, pumpkin items are everywhere, both for food and decor, and ready-made pumpkin pies offer a convenient way to bring fall flavors to your table. I don't like the store-bought ones, there's too much sugar in them. However, the only pumpkin pie for me is the real deal. Same here. A pumpkin grown and cured in our garden, cooked and pureed in our kitchen, and then transformed into that beloved fall dessert. Same here. A pumpkin pie completely from scratch is a big accomplishment. But don't let that scare you away. Making homemade pumpkin pie isn't hard at all, and I'll walk you through all the steps right here. There are lots of reasons to make your own pumpkin pie rather than purchasing one from the grocery store. The taste of homemade pie can't be matched, and making it yourself also guarantees that you will have complete control over the ingredients you use. Exactly. Hairs are messed up. Sorry, my hair is so stupid looking right now. The cost of homemade pumpkin puree is only pennies per jar, which makes your from scratch pumpkin goodies extremely cost effective. And to all of this, the satisfaction of creating your own food from scratch with ingredients from your own garden and the choice to bake a pumpkin pie yourself becomes a given. Types of pumpkins. Your perfect homemade pie begins with selecting the perfect pumpkin. There are hundreds, even thousands of varieties of pumpkins, and choosing the right variety for your purposes is important. When selecting pumpkins to puree and cook in your kitchen, the best options are varieties that are considered pie pumpkins or sugar pumpkins. I need a drink. Other varieties, like the larger field pumpkins sold in stores, are great for carving and decor, but they don't have a high enough sugar content to taste very good. It is essential to choose a fully ripe pumpkin for cooking. Otherwise, your puree may end up bitter and disappointing. No matter how much sugar you add to your recipe, many pumpkins appear ripe before they are ready to harvest, so rely on more than appearance before you pick them. Ripe pumpkins will be fully colored in their final color, and ripe rind will be very firm. It should be almost impossible to dent with your fingernail. Stems of ripe pumpkins turn tan and almost coral-like, and the leaves and vine near the pumpkin will also begin to dry out and brown. When they are ready for harvest, pumpkins will feel heavy for their size and give a nice hollow sound when you thump on the side. Roaches. If the pumpkins in your garden meet these criteria, dang it, excuse me, then they are ready to start curing. As an important note, winter squash, including pumpkins, are damaged by freezing temperatures, so if frost threatens, it's better to harvest early. Alright. How to cure pumpkins from your garden. After pumpkins and other squash are harvested, they need to be cured. Curing is simply allowing the skins of the squash to harden to better protect them for storage, but it has the added benefit of making pumpkins taste sweeter, perfect for pies. To cure your pumpkin in the field or your garden, just leave them in a dry, sunny place outdoors after cutting them from the vines. After 7 days, your pumpkins are ready to store somewhere cool and dry and should last up to 3 months. Outdoor curing is our preferred method, but of course, the weather does not always cooperate. If your weather is too wet or the temperatures are more extreme, above 80 degrees or below 45 degrees, it is better to cure your pumpkins indoors. You can cure squash in a shed, greenhouse, grow tunnel, attic, bedroom, or anywhere else where the temperature is in the right range. As an added benefit, you can even use pumpkins and squash as decorations inside your house while they are curing. Within 10 days to 2 weeks indoors, your squash will have developed an even harder, tougher rind, and some of the starches inside will have been converted to sugar. They are ready for storage or to become delicious pies. How to cook and puree pumpkin. The pumpkin you intend to make into a pie can be cooked a few weeks in advance, making your actual baking day much faster. Simply roast your pumpkins, puree the cooked squash, and store in the freezer until you're ready to make a pie. Now, when I did it, and you guys can refer back to my how to make pumpkin puree video, okay? I always cut up my pumpkin. I cut the top out. I clean it out. I always save the seeds. Always want to save the seeds. Let them dry. Once they're completely dry, put them in a bag or something, jar, and label it. And you can grow those the next year. So you're not wasting that. The flesh inside it you can feed to your chickens or put them in your compost, eat them, that kind of thing. So it doesn't go to waste. Obviously, down here we didn't have that option, but. And then I just cut the pumpkin up, cut it in sections, cut the rind off. I cut it in squares like this, about 1-inch cubes, sometimes smaller, and then just put it all in a Dutch oven pan. And when it was all done, or when it was all cut up, I just added some water to it. You don't want to fill it because you don't want that much water in it.
Well, because some contract tells them that they have James.
Okay. I always use about probably that much water in it. 1.5 to 2 inches because it will cook down. You want to cover your pan. I always add some cinnamon and some allspice to it because it gives it, that spiced flavor to it. And then you just, turn it on around medium and then just let it cook down. I always cover it and everything. Sorry. And, you just check it every once in a while. Like I said, refer to my video, how to make pumpkin puree. So, there you go. All right. Begin with the pie pumpkin, sorry. As described above, or you can substitute a different winter squash of comparable size, like a butternut or acorn squash. To prepare your pumpkin, wash and dry it with a clean dish towel. Remove the stem by breaking it off on the edge of your kitchen counter or on the floor. Then cut one vent hole in the pumpkin. I typically do this in the spot where the stem was, since it's thinner and offers less resistance. Once the pumpkin is prepared, place it whole on a baking sheet and bake at 350 degrees for 20 to 60 minutes, depending on its size. The larger the pumpkin, the longer it will take to cook all the way through. To check the pumpkin's doneness, poke a sharp knife into its wall. If the blade goes right through the side without resistance, the pumpkin is done. I've never done it that way. Probably never will do it that way. After removing the pumpkin from the oven, allow it to cool until you can handle it easy, then remove the skin. It should slip right off. Carefully open the stupid flies pumpkin and use a spoon to scoop the seeds. See, no, because that way you can't save your seeds. Because if the seeds are cooked, you can't plant them. Now, I do always save some to roast, but honestly, doing it the other way is the better way, especially if you want to continue to plant your pumpkins. I mean, think about what if you can't go buy seeds, that Then puree the remaining meat from the cooked pumpkin in a blender or food processor until it is completely smooth. Yeah, see, that's totally different from how I do it. If your puree seems especially watery or loose, you can set it to drain in a strainer lined with cheesecloth for half an hour. This prevents extra moisture, which will keep your pie from setting. Use the liquid you strained in smoothies or to feed your garden. Pumpkin puree prepared this way can be used immediately, or you can transfer it to the freezer containers or wide mouth jars, leaving 2 inches empty space at the top, called headspace, and freeze it up to 1 year. Don't forget to label your jars with the contents and date. Unfortunately, pumpkin puree is not safe to can, so freezing is the best method to preserve it for future use. I actually successfully canned some, so I don't believe that. Whether I'm preparing for a big Thanksgiving spread or just cooking a simple, nourishing dinner for our family, it brings me such joy to include a homegrown, from scratch pumpkin pie. It's an involved process, but not a complicated one, and there just isn't anything that can match the flavor, cost effectiveness, or satisfaction of crafting it in your own kitchen. I hope you will take this encouragement to do it yourself. Once you try, you'll see what I mean, and I'm guessing you'll never look back. Happy baking. Carolyn Thomas and her husband Josh live on a 40-acre homestead in Idaho, surrounded by gardens, livestock, and children. She spends her days rocking babies, homeschooling her children, and preserving food for the coming winter. You can find Carolyn teaching others about homesteading at homesteadingfamily.com. All right. And then the recipe, I'll go ahead and just read that real quick. Turning pumpkin puree into pies. Ingredients: 6 cups of pumpkin puree, 12 whole eggs. This must make a lot of pies. 2 cups of milk, cream, or heavy whipping cream. 2 cups of brown sugar. 2 tablespoons of pumpkin pie spice mix, which you can make that yourself. 1 teaspoon of salt. Make sure you use sea salt or the Redmond's real salt. 2 homemade pie crusts. In a large bowl, blend the pumpkin puree, eggs, milk, brown sugar, pumpkin pie spice, and salt. Sea salt. You can use a variety of methods for this step. I use an immersion blender, but you can also use a stand mixer, food processor, or even mix it by hand. Your end goal is a custard mixture that is well blended, silky, and smooth. Once your filling is well blended, roll the pie crust into 2 pie pans. Pour the prepared filling evenly into the crust and tap the pans gently on the counter to get any bubbles out of the custard. Bake the pies at 350 degrees for 45 to 55 minutes or until the custard is set. In the very center of the pie is only slightly jiggly when lightly shaken. Be careful not to overbake, as overbaked custard tends to crack. Your pie will continue to bake for a brief time after you take it out of the oven. Once done, remove the pies from the oven and set them to cool on a cooling rack. Pumpkin pies should cool for at least 4 hours before slicing. Serve with home whipped cream and store any leftovers in the fridge. And that was it. My ears are plugged. And the next one is on cold climate gardening, and I will see if I can get that video out here tonight too. So there you go. I will stick with my preferred method of doing the pumpkin because that way I can save the seeds, I can roast some of the seeds, I can feed the flesh to, our animals when we have them, once we have them, which will be up north in Michigan. So we're very much looking forward to that. I'm spending a lot of time right now working on my quilt and pouring my time into it to, get that done so that can be sold. Again, it will be pricey because it's going to be pretty big. So it may have 3 wide sections in it, about like this. Pretty long, probably the length of a bed. 3 sections like this. So the sections are probably about as wide as a yardstick. So, and there's probably going to be 3 sections that size for the actual quilt block part. And then the middle of it is going to be all natural cotton batting for quilts. And then the back of it, I'm going to, order fabric and sew it all together. I'll sew the batting into it by hand. It's all by hand. I'll probably use embroidery thread to do that. and I'll do like the little tie-offs. I don't know if I'll do that with the batting. I might though. I might do that like every 12 inches with the batting once I sew it around the edge. And then the fabric for the back of it is going to come out probably 3 inches, at least 3 inches from the front part of the quilt, so I can fold it over basically like a hem, fold it over like an inch twice to where I have an inch of fabric coming over the quilt blocks around the entire perimeter of the quilt, and I'll have to pin it all down. It's going to be at the corners, it's going to have like the kind of, it's going to be folded and, like it's going to have a diagonal crease in it in the corners. I just like really like that crease or fold or whatever you want to call it. And then, I'll pin that down. I'll tack that down. And, I'll tack those corners down so they don't come apart. And then it'll be all pinned around the entire edge. And I'll probably go ahead and tack it first, probably every 6 inches or so it doesn't come unfolded. And then I might even sew down like the first inch when I fold it over. I may go ahead and go around and pin that all the way around or tack it every few inches and then go around and sew that all the way around it and then fold it over again. I don't know if I can do that. I might be able. Let's think about that one. Fold it over again and then do the same thing. And then I'll have to see if it's going to work that way. If it works, then the third time I fold it around to where it's over the edge of the perimeter of the quilt, I'll do the fold, the diagonal fold with the corners, tack that down at each corner, and then I'll go around and tack it at like every 6 inches or so, and then I'll go and sew that around. So there'll be three times that I'll go around and sew that hem around the quilt before I even get it sewn on to the edge of the quilt box. So I'm going to have to do that in one day. So I'll have to spread the quilt out with the backing over the back of it. Or the batting. The quilt blocks with the batting already done. And I'll have to take and spread that over the back of the fabric on the bed. And then I'll have to start the folding and yeah. That's going to probably take an entire day. So this quilt, I will guarantee you, will probably cost around $1,500. So, and I'm definitely going to work on getting my Etsy store up there. I'm going to have to try to devote some time to that. I've got to get back over to Kohl's and get some more glasses. I have a bag of them in the closet. I want to get a whole bunch more. Like, I need to get a whole bunch more of those. I need to get some more markers. I might just use the acrylic paints. I don't know. That would probably be better. It would cost less, to be honest. I will just need to get some metallic colors so I can do the metallic sets too. And then I need the protective coating for them. So a lot of work, a lot of money is going into this. A lot of money is going into those quilts. So, between the fabric for the quilt blocks, the thread, the batting, all natural cotton batting for the inside of it, the fabric for the back of it, a lot is going into them. So they're going to be worth every penny that they're set for. So I'll guarantee you it's going to be at least $1,500. And it's going to be on our Etsy store. But I need to get some more stuff. I need to get more t-shirts. I need to get more, I'm probably just going to have to start buying them from like Dollar General, like the blank t-shirts. We don't really have a good a good thrift store here in Wilburton. But the t-shirts, the glasses, I can get cutting boards from Dollar General and do those. I mean, I could even do the tempered glass ones and then use a coating for that. But I'm gonna start getting this stuff done, and maybe I'll even have enough money to order a jean jacket or two. Do those, put those on the website or on the Etsy store. I want to work on the website still. I have so much going on, and Lane's right. I've probably like bitten off more than I can chew, or it seems like it sometimes, but I'm probably trying to do too much, but I mean, we have to get a lot going to be able to get the money to get our own property and home up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I think we're pretty covered on being able to get a vehicle. So I'll be right back, guys. Hold on. Okay. Anyway, plus on top of that, I'm going to be getting the canvases for the big paintings. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm also going to be getting the canvases for my big canvases for the big paintings that I'm going to post on a specific site to get the money out of them that they're worth. So, and that's going to be a lot of money. A lot of money. So, anyway, but that's all for today, or that's all for that one. And again, the next one is on cold climate storage, I think. Cold climate gardening, I'm sorry. And I will get this up there, and I will try to go ahead and get another one up there, and I will see you guys in a minute. Bye, guys.